How's it going, Thieves fans? Today we have a very special guest. We are here with the one and only JoeDeceives. How's
Good.
it going, man?
Doing pretty good, man. How about you?
Good. It's great to have you on and get to chat with you.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
After so long trying to set this up.
yeah. It's been a while, but things have happened. It's all right. Glad we're finally here. So,
Yep.
um, you know, I I wanted to start off with pretty much the same question I ask everybody. I wanted to start off with how you got introduced to Call of Duty and maybe more specifically like competitive Call of Duty.
Yeah. So I've been playing Call of Duty since I was like 5 years old, like back in like MW2,
Hmm.
because my brother was like a big like gamer, and he always had a 360 in the living room, and like I was always the youngest, so I was spoiled. So I would like whine or whatever to get the control from him, because at first he tried like doing the little trick where you give him like a fake controller.
Yep,
Like
yep.
like I knew it like instantly. I remember we talked about it all the time. So that's when I first started really playing Call of Duty, and I've been
Hmm.
playing since then. And then to get into like the competitive side of it was I've been watching competitive COD since like Jetpacks, like BO3, IW, but I've been watching like Scump, Nade, and all them since like BO2. Like I used to watch their YouTube videos all the time. Remember, I used to tell my friends that like, oh, I used to like fake tryout for like Optic. It was just whatever. But yeah. So I've been actually competing in like working at this since I was like 13, 14 though, was when I really started like BO4, end of World War II, like really when I was like, okay, like I want to try to do this.
Damn.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So you've known about competitive Call of Duty at least for a good portion. Um, like you said, if you were watching Scump and Nade back in BO2, that's a ways away. That was my
yeah.
first Call of Duty game I ever played. So,
Hmm.
I was kind of on the outside of the competitive scene at that point, but that was a great game to get introduced to for me at least.
Yeah.
But kind of piggybacking off of that, I'm curious as to like when you were at that point where you realized you were good enough to go pro, or like when you realized that you kind of wanted to.
Um, so that kind of hit me when I was like, okay, like I'm actually talented enough to go pro. Was like Cold War,
Okay.
because I was like, I didn't compete much in MW19 and Cold War and like the start of Cold War,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like underage, and especially going into Cold War, like I didn't have a lot of money. My family didn't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, shout out to my parents. I mean, I put on a PS5, which was all I really wanted, was something that could like be close up to a PC, but like obviously it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I started playing Cold War on PS5, took a break, came back, and really started grinding at it.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was just like, that's when it really hit me that I'm like, oh, like I can do this. Like I know for a fact I can do this. Like, I was playing top aims who scrimmed every day, like slamming them, like whatever, just like
Mm-hmm.
the regular where it's like I'm just playing better than people who scrim all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that, like I said, that was on a PS5, and I knew once because I played the tournaments to get enough to buy a PC, which I did the next off season going into Vanguard. And that's kind of like I said, when it really hit me, I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I know for a fact I can do this.
Yeah. I'm sure that must have been like a crazy feeling to, like you said, you were able to play through the tournaments and then get yourself a PC because of that. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Nah, yeah, I
Um,
was. Yeah.
yeah,
100%.
that's impressive for sure. I mean, I played like a couple. I mean, I would just do like wager matches like back in like Black Ops 3, and I think
Yeah.
I won maybe one of them the whole time. Like I never did any ladders or anything like that. So being able to kind of earn enough throughout that to get yourself a PC is really impressive.
Yeah.
I'm also curious as to like who you looked up to, and who you were inspired by when you started playing Call of Duty. I know you had mentioned you watched Scump and Nade Shot. Um, was there maybe anybody else outside of them, or maybe even somebody that you looked at as kind of like an inspiration for your playstyle and where you wanted to go from that regard?
Yeah. So growing up, like I said, like I really started watching like during World War II and like BO4.
Mm-hmm.
And and like I said, like the way I play now, where it's like I'm a fast sub, blah blah blah, entry, whatever, whatever, is
Mm-hmm.
like the type of players I looked up to. So World War II, for example, was like Kenny. Like,
Yeah.
he was a really fast sub who also put up insane numbers in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, it was like, I don't know, like there was just a lot of different subs that I never really had like a favorite team, but like Kenny was like my first like favorite player that I really liked watching in like World War II, like I said. But like going back to BO2. I don't know, like Scump and Nate were never like my favorite players. They just players that I loved watching like content wise, but not
Gotcha.
competitively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was like the first like person I really like looked up to.
Yeah. That I mean, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. Like you said, Kenny was an insane player coming
Yeah,
into the World War II season. Um, that's a year that like I wish maybe I would have watched a little more because
yeah,
like I watched all of Black Ops 4 and then I watched like a little bit of Black Ops 3. Like that was the first Call of Duty that I would say I watched competitively. And then the next couple of games after that, I didn't really watch until it got to Black Ops 4.
yeah,
And so, like, when the Thieves picked up Kenny, of course, I tried to do a little bit of research on, who this guy was, because at that point, I really didn't know most of the guys on the team. Um, and yeah, just watching some of the stuff that he was able to do, like, was really crazy. He's definitely a great player to, I feel like, look at, especially if you're just trying to improve in general.
hundred
Um,
percent.
so yeah, that's a great shout, honestly. Um, what were your experiences like when you played for like an academy team before you were brought up to the CDL?
I still remember it to this day. Like our first scrims, even playing like the kickoff tournaments with them was like that was my first time like actually being a part of like a real team.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Was that LG Academy team? That was a team that going into the challengers, like I know obviously I was gonna be in challengers.
Mm-hmm.
That was the team I wanted. In my head, like what I built was like, okay, I want me because Exceed obviously just won champs. Assault was a good like main AR in
Mm-hmm.
challengers, and Diamond Khan was someone that like I knew was good due to like Cold War. I remember watching him. Like I didn't watch a lot of Cold War just because online was just kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
But like I just knew he was good from like challengers, and he obviously went to the league. And I just remember like me, Exceed, or me and Adam or Assault were talking about like who we want
Mm-hmm.
as our flex, and I said Connor from the start. We had like other names, but I just knew I wanted Connor more than any of the other names that were, you know, brought up. And so when we formed the team, we started scrimming. It was like the game was just completely different than what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in my head going into it, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna out talent everyone. Like who gives a fuck? Like I don't really care. Like
Yeah.
whatever. And then we started scrimming, and like I realized like my flow was awful, like absolutely awful, and like I started getting to a point where I started like defaulting to Hill because I was like, oh, I don't want to fuck up the flow, blah 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
and like Connor especially more than anyone would like help me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a big reason why I got good going into Major One and the first cup, whatever, was
Okay.
because of Connor. And he like I said, he would watch VOD with me. We would talk about stuff all the time. And Will also was obviously all my teammates were,
Yeah.
but Connor especially because I feel like I bonded with him the most on the LAG team.
Uh-huh.
And it's just because he was just a great leader, like to start me off. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that was the best team I could get from to start off. Like who else would I pick to teach me stuff like
Yeah.
that?
So you said with your flow, how your flow was off. Would you say that was kind of like almost a reality check on how
Oh,
like
a
getting to the
hundred
league would
percent.
be?
Bro, it was like actually insane because I had scrimmed, right? Because I remember in Vanguard, I had scrimmed for like, I had subbed in because Dan got dropped. Actually, funny. Dan got dropped from his team,
Uh-huh.
and I filled in for Dan while they found like a fourth. So I would scrim like top M's and shit,
Uh-huh.
and I was just slamming them. So in my head, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do this again. Like,
Yeah.
because I remember scrimming with them, like, they made the game so fun. It was like Godarex, Pander, I think Yeez, or his Fame. I think it was both because I subbed in twice. And I just had so much fun. And that was like the real moment I knew I was way more talented than anyone in challengers. That
Mm-hmm.
was like it clicked. I was like, okay, like I know for a fact how talented I am.
Yeah.
And then like I said, going into like actually screaming, I was like, whoa, this is completely different.
Just a
Because
whole
like
different vibe.
it's just like an actual team that I need to get better with. And
Yeah.
it's instead of me just subbing in having fun. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was like, I don't know, it just blew my mind.
Would you say
But
like you saw maybe not exponential improvement at that point, but like did you see yourself kind of like improving at a faster rate because
a
of that?
million percent. A million
Yeah.
percent. I mean, like obviously not nowhere near to what I am now, but like for that time to get to where I was by Major One was just like the fundamentals of like what I had from the start to Major One was
Mm-hmm.
insanely different. And I know you're gonna ask me a question about LAG later, but I feel like that improvement was more than what I had on LAG as a team in the
Interesting.
CDL. which we'll get to later. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how were you feeling like when you got called up to the CDL like after having been on that academy team?
well, go like I said. So I was I was excited because, like I
Hmm.
said, I know I have the talent to be in the league. I know I'm better than a lot of players in the league. Like I know how good I can be. And so in my head, I was thinking, okay, like going into the team, I told this to everyone was like, I'm just gonna, because I'm 18, so I'm gonna come in, listen to people who have been here before.
Hmm.
You know, Alec, Caden has already been in the league before, and if not, just 'cause he's competed for a while, anyways.
Hmm.
Adam, obviously a world champ. Like I'm gonna listen to my teammates on how to play in the league because I know it's just different. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's more talent. People know how to play the game way faster, and it's
Hmm.
like that was my mindset going into it. So I was excited. Obviously, like I'm in the league after one event. Like you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like it was kind of like extra pressure knowing that it was such a short turnaround from, like you said, one event to now you're in the league?
not really because in my head I was just like I had such a big ego. Like I'm just like I don't think like oh my god like I'm in the league like I'm whatever whatever. I'm
Yeah.
thinking bro I just did this in I just speed ran challenges bro
Yeah.
and I'm in the league again like bro
Yeah.
I'm in the league like this shit's easy like I literally went in my head thinking like oh this is so easy like what the fuck I'm gonna run this shit like
Yeah.
and then obviously it didn't really happen but
I mean, to be fair, that LAG roster I felt like was very up and down. Like there was so
yeah
much going
I
on.
mean it was up at the start and then down
Yeah, I mean,
very fast.
obviously, like I don't know any of the organization stuff, and you don't gotta leak any of the organization stuff, but I just know like from the outside in, it just seemed like everything that they were doing was just like, kind of head scratchers. Like, okay, like we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, hey, I feel like getting to that level though, getting to the pro level, it doesn't matter kind of where you're at. Getting there is a huge accomplishment.
yeah,
And
100%.
like, would you say that even just getting there boosted your confidence, like going into, say, like coming into this year, knowing that it was like, hey, I got a new roster now, like things a fresh start.
Yeah, well, 100%. Like getting there is definitely like I said, like I know like a lot of people in challengers who have been doing this for fucking years and haven't
Mm,
even sniffed it.
yeah,
So it's like me doing it in one event.
yeah,
Obviously, like I remember I had so much flack for being. People thought I was a sub. I was never a sub for LAG. I remember getting so much flack because people thought I was gonna be the substitute for LAG.
hmm,
That I had never gotten challenger experience. Blah blah blah. And then obviously doing that, winning the event, like I even beat people who were talking shit about me. Like that was like good because I'm like, bro,
oh,
there you go. Like
I bet.
yeah. So that was good. And then going into this year, obviously after having that team, the LAG team, which obviously didn't perform very well at all,
Uh-huh.
um, I was definitely way more excited because I'm just like, okay, like I have a fresh start. Like I'm excited with the team we had. I think we could be good. And I mean, yeah, I was just way more excited. I had way more confidence. We're not even in phase. It's always great.
Yeah. So going back to kind of like that experience on LAG, what would you say were kind of like the biggest things that you learned about your time on that team, whether it be in game or out of game?
I mean, in game it's kind of hard. Like, and it's not really anyone's fault on the team. It's just as a team we didn't click,
Hmm.
but there wasn't much to learn. I mean, I don't even know. It's just hard because, like I said, like there wasn't much. We didn't do much as a team after a certain point.
Hmm.
Like it felt like we just stopped. Like we just hit a wall and we nothing ever happened. Like I feel like we just kept going backwards.
Hmm.
So it was really hard for me going into this year. Um, I don't know. I didn't really feel like I learned. Like I said, like before, where it's like I feel like I just learned more from the academy team than actually in the league, and I can't blame anyone on the team for that. I feel like it was just it was all of our fault.
Hmm.
Not just one person, not just it wasn't me. Like it was all of us.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. That's a hard question to answer. I feel like more out of game was just like knowing what good teammates are like. I guess I that's what I would say. Was just knowing what good teammates are like, knowing what I want as teammates, who I want as teammates, like personality wise, like who I mesh with, blah blah blah, like stuff like that. I guess I'd
Gotcha.
say I'd learn more.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, so going into this year, being on that Thieves roster, Uh, how did you feel when you found out that the Thieves were looking at you and that you were going to be a part of that team?
I mean, bro, because like going into this year, I didn't have many offers. Like I had a couple teams interested, and I knew like because people I talked to like knew I had the talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that wasn't like that's what a lot of people told me. So I was confident going into this year. But when I heard Thieves wanted me, that was a team that I mean, Cap and Shane were just like I knew them as like I mean they're literally the best coaching duo in the league, and
Yeah,
then experiencing them, I see I'm going a little like ahead, but experiencing them like I can still vouch for that. Like so like I said, I was just super excited. I mean, I remember talking to Brandon, and he was like, I'm pretty sure he asked like, oh, what do you want? Like, what are you most excited about being here? And I literally said them. Like, just
yeah,
learning from them is like the biggest thing that I was excited for, and didn't disappoint.
yeah. That's interesting because I feel like I've heard that kind of similar statement, among some of the other guys on the team, and other guys that have played for Cap and Shane. And it's funny. I had brought it up in the interview with Ghosty, but there was some people on Twitter who were talking about how coaching really is not that big of a deal you know, in Call of Duty. And I just felt like there's no way that's true. Like,
Nah,
you
it's
look
not.
at, like you said, you look
No
at
way in hell's true.
Shane and Cap and what, they were able to do for this Thieves roster, not only this year, but, even the years
Years
before.
before, yep.
To me, it seemed like a crazy statement to say like, oh no, the coaches don't play much of a
Yeah,
role.
that's insane. I mean, I remember like Vanguard, they went like 0-5 in like major 2 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then they brought Shane in and they went back to back. Like
Yeah, and
that's just insane. Like going from 0-5, not winning. I think the only team they beat was New York, who hadn't won a series on land all year until
mm-hmm.
Major 5. Then winning Major 5 and champs back to back. I mean, that's just
Yeah, and I mean, really, the
proof in the
only
pudding.
change that they made when it came to like the roster itself was a role
Was
swap.
was literally yeah, was
Like,
just Draws going to AR and Kenny going
yeah,
sub, which obviously it's a big impact knowing
yeah,
now, like hindsight wise, but I mean, no one knew that then.
yeah. I mean, I feel like too at that point, even Draza was a little kind of like, um, you could almost say like unproven at that point
Oh,
because he didn't have
100%.
much of much time on that Cold War team.
Yeah.
So
Right. I saw
that
a clip of Ken today saying literally like he was like talking about oh which team has more talent on
yeah,
like this team or like the Optic team and the LAT team. And he was like, bro, on paper when you built those rosters, like Draza was not known to be what he is now. Like
yeah,
obviously now everyone knows Draza is like one of the best players in the game. Sometimes even the best player depending on like the time of year.
mm-hmm.
But like back then he was just looked at like I remember, but people didn't want Draza on the team.
Yeah. I know it
Like no one
was
wanted him on the team. They were like, oh, why the fuck is he with these other 3 like players who people know are good. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Like
I mean,
it
personally,
worked
like
out.
when I saw that, the Thieves were picking up Envoy, they already had Kenny, and then, I felt like everybody knew at that point they were going to get Octane back. Like,
Yeah,
that was a given. Um, that when they decided to keep Draza, I was really surprised, but, that was, like we said, beforehand, kind of seeing where he's at now. Obviously, looking at what he became, it really makes a lot of sense to keep him on the team, but
100%.
it just felt like he was one guy that you were like, where is this guy coming from? Like he's
Yeah,
on
100%.
this team of three guys who are very proven, and he's the one guy that's not. And he went on to have a crazy year and is obviously still having a
Yeah,
solid career. But
100%.
he's kind of like that piece that for me, when a lot of people were talking about the ups and downs of this year, that for me the biggest thing was like, let's just ride it out, man. Like, you
Yeah,
know, all of you guys are young. Everybody has something to prove, and you know, like it's going to be hard to prove that if you're not given the time to. So,
100%. Yeah,
for me, that was kind of like what I looked at to be like, hey, we've had this kind of situation happen before with a player. Who's to say it can't happen again? Especially under, like you said, Cap and Shane, who obviously have done a great job of helping all the players. So yeah, that was something that made me feel like we got to give your guys' team time, and I think
yeah,
um, getting that has definitely shown how good you guys really are. Um, but obviously, like, you guys weren't this team that you are now throughout the whole year.
Hmm.
There were many ups and downs. The good thing is it still wasn't as bad as the Cold War season.
That's true. That's very true.
And you were one that got dropped down at one point
Hmm.
before being brought back up. You went down to play for FaZe Black. How did playing for FaZe Black help you kind of bounce back into this role that you're in now?
I was actually talking about this yesterday with Mayhem. Um, and what I always say to everyone who asks me that question is literally just like, bro, when I played with those guys, like it literally felt like Mayhem just taught me like how to control the chaos that I'm put in. Because this game obviously doesn't have the best spawn system, right? Let's be honest with each
Mm-hmm.
other here. But May helped me play COD in a simple and fun way that just gave me that confidence back of like, because if you want me to be honest, right? Last year it felt like I degraded as a player because it felt like I was playing too by the book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I was playing like, oh, like this is the setup I have to be in every single fucking time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when I went back down to challengers, and even the start of this year, like that's how I was playing, and I still remember like to this day, like every situation I got put in where I just literally sat in a corner and just didn't move, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what was happening on the map. I didn't read the pressure at all. I didn't do any of that, right? And when I went down to challengers, I mean, bro, May literally helped me fix that and fucking record speed. Like, I can't praise him enough. Like May is a league, I mean, league ready coach. By I mean, he's better than a lot of the coaches in the league currently.
Yeah.
Um, and he, like I said, like he just helped me play the game in such a fun way and like help me play it and understand why I'm doing what. Like, how can I explain it? Like, just like why I'm doing certain things. Yeah, that's the way I should say
Yeah.
it. But it just helped me like understand the game and how to have fun with it, but how to like control it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just making the game hectic. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like I said, it just gave me so much more confidence, so much more flow on the map. And yeah, I mean that was just that.
I feel like that's you know, pretty similar as to like what Kremp had said with his time
Yeah.
at FaZe Black
Mhm.
as well. That it was like, he kind of learned to fill out his role and be the best at his role to help the
Yeah.
team instead of like trying to fill a role that he's not in a
Yeah.
sense. Um, so that's it seems like that's what FaZe Black and as you said, Mayhem does really well with growing players and helping them kind of get back to the league or get to the league
Yeah.
if they haven't been there already. Obviously, we talked about kind of LAG in that year, and you being a young player. I know you haven't had a ton of time in the league so far, but I'm curious as to know what has been your biggest challenge throughout your career and how did you overcome it, or if you haven't had like the time to necessarily overcome it, like if it's something you're still going through, how do you plan on overcoming it?
I mean, I think my biggest challenge, which led from last year to, like I said, the beginning of this year, was just my confidence and like understanding when to move, like when
Mm-hmm.
to react and when to, just, I mean, like I said, move, literally just that. Um, and that was the hardest thing. And I remember, I mean, Cap and Shane just used to, they would gas me in scrims all the time, start of the year. And I would go into matches and I would just be completely awful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was always so confusing to me, and I didn't understand it, and it hurt because, like I said, like I know how good I am, and I know, especially in practice, how good I was playing. To then go into the like matches and have a point 0.8. I had like a
Mm-hmm.
point 0.8 across every game, but that wasn't control. Like I had like a 1.1 in control, but that's just because of how easy spawns are in control. Like there's
Yeah.
no like fluctuating. There's no different setup. It's like the same shit,
Yeah, it's the
right?
same thing.
So to then play like I said, I wasn't playing well at all. Like it just hurt, and I got dropped. And the way I overcame that, and it's still like even coming back from challengers, right? I
Mm-hmm.
still had that lingering like where I just couldn't be at my best, but I wasn't like anywhere like as bad as I was at the start.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like it just came from my coaches more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Was Mayhem, I mean, and the Cap and Shane going into champs. I mean, they just like constantly like reaffirm like I know what the fuck I'm doing, like like just shit like that, like knowing like they just help me reaffirm like I know what I'm doing, I know I'm good, how good I am, like, and that is one thing that especially going to champs, um, we had like a little team talk,
Mm-hmm.
and just hearing that from them was like kind of like I don't know. It's like weird because like I knew what I was doing, but then hearing it from them was just kind of like what like solidified that. Like
Mm-hmm.
and like even now we're screaming now for EWC, and I still don't anymore. Like even like I said, going into Major 3, Major 4, I felt like there was sometimes I would do it. I feel like Major 4 I got better at it. Major 3 was still kind of like eh.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like certain times where I do it perfectly, where I don't like overthink, but there's sometimes I do.
Mm-hmm.
Then like I said, going into champs and even now, like I feel like I just don't do it at all. Like I don't maybe once every 10 scrims I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. Like I said, like they really helped me a lot in like keeping my confidence and just like I said, just like being the best player I can be and understanding how good I truly am. Um, and yeah, I mean obviously my teammates do a fantastic job of it too,
Yeah.
especially mid game. Like I'll get like a 2 piece and they just hype me up and it makes me feel like such like so much of a better player.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously shout out to my teammates, shout out to my coaches. So,
Yeah.
it's great.
I mean, I talked to Crimp about this as well, but like when you guys have your listen-ins and you're hearing the deads and uh every guy hyping each other up, like I mean, I feel like I don't see how your confidence would drop at that point. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
seems like there's so much dope kind of running through with that. I am curious though as to like when you are put in situations like um just difficult mid-match
Yeah,
situations,
yeah,
like
yeah.
whether it be you lose kind of like a grueler of a search, or even a control, like how do you kind of like bounce back in that moment, to kind of rally the team to get back into it, whether you're down in the series, or even if it was just like, hey, we probably should have won this map. We get how do we get back into this?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's something we have to get better at. It's funny you say that, like throughout the year, because there'd be sometimes we would just be completely chalked. Like
Mm-hmm.
we'd lose a map that we shouldn't have, and it's just done,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that haunted us all the way until champs.
Mm-hmm.
Like what, like the LAG series at Major 4, we lost the map one we shouldn't have, and then we just got steamrolled the rest of the series. There's just other series that happened, right? But like I said, like that was something we worked on as a team. The coaches helped us a lot. We even got a sports psychologist that helped us a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I said, that was just something we worked on over and over and over. And then I mean, champs, it really clicked for us where it's like we had the full amount of confidence. Like obviously we got reverse swept by Optic, but I don't really feel like that was we're down because we lost control super fast. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like they just played really well. We just got
Yeah.
to tip it.
I
You know,
mean, they had an insane event.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like they went on to win the series. I mean, Shotzi Pred put up fucking insane stats. Like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? They pop takeover. They're great players.
Yeah.
Gotta respect it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, going back to it though, we just reaffirm ourselves, right? Like as a team, you'll hear Kyle like it's all good, blah blah blah. We don't even talk about it really. Like, maybe we'll say a thing or two about it, but like we don't
Mm-hmm.
really like go on about it. 'Cause at that point you're just keeping in your head. Like
Yeah.
there's no point. You gotta go on next. Like the map's over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. And the coaches help when they come up too. They're just like, move on. Who cares? Like, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I'm
Simple.
sure. Um, Not to kind of stay on this topic for too long, but going back to that optic series, I am curious as to what came down to you guys playing that Karachi. Like why was Karachi that map 3?
I mean, we were just good at it in practice. Like our practice was. I mean, even when we played Miami on it, we slammed them on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just feel like they just came out swinging, and we got caught lacking, and they just had momentum based off that. They
Yeah.
won. They won a defense they shouldn't have won because we just scammed. And after that, it was just like, I mean, they were just in flow.
Yeah, they kind of hit
Um,
that rhythm.
yeah, I mean, like I said, like obviously hindsight maybe, but even then, like I said, our practice was really good on Karachi. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
were very good on the map. I'm pretty sure they were really good on that map. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I know a lot of the fans, like obviously again kind of hindsight, like they're looking at that Karachi and they're like, why the hell did we pick Karachi? And I'm like, well, I mean, there's a reason you guys would pick it.
yeah.
It's not like you guys just throw that out there just to say, hey, let's
I mean,
give this
it's the
map a
same thing with
go.
teams saying or like fans saying like, oh, why are we still playing sub base? And it's like, I mean, there's a not like we're bad at sub base. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like we sometimes we didn't play great in matches and it sucked. But even against New York, I remember when we played them, when we reverse swept them. Remember after like I was here that I saw like fans before, so you're saying like, oh, why are we playing sub base against New York, blah blah blah. Because obviously they just 50-point club rocker on it, which
Yeah.
makes sense. To be fair, that rocker team wasn't great. They just got a sub in. They
Yeah.
didn't really have much practice. But and obviously reverse swept them, we beat them on sub base. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason we do these things. You know, we're not
Yeah.
just throwing shit at the wall. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I was in that camp for the sub base argument, but
Yeah, I
I
mean it's fair. Like I said, we never really played it great in matches, but we had great confidence on it due to scrims. You know what I'm saying? That's something we can base it off of, really.
yeah. Well, and my thing too was like, yes, I was saying that, but I also know at the end of the day, like, there's a reason you guys are playing it, and so for me, I'm not gonna harp on it for too long because it's
Yeah,
like, well, obviously they know more than what I do. So like me saying all this doesn't mean anything because I'm not seeing your guys' scrims. I'm
yeah,
not seeing how those series or those matches play out. I'm just making like an observation from what I'm able to see,
yeah,
and
100%.
that was what I mostly wanted like other Thieves fans to recognize was like, hey, like we said, they're not just throwing maps into the pool like just because. There's a reason they pick certain maps like in certain situations.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, that was the only reason I wanted to ask about that because people
that's
were
fair.
just on you
Like I
guys
said,
for
it's fair. I
that, and
mean,
I
like
felt like
you know,
it was
the fans just saw us get slammed on the map, so they're probably like, "What the fuck?" Like, there's no way they're good at it. Which, like I said, it's fair. Like, they don't know our scrims. You know, same thing when I see other teams play maps and they get something like, "What the fuck? Why they play that map?"
yeah.
But I also don't know their practice. You know, I don't know how good they are at that map, really.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
So
just kind of like natural instinct at that point.
yeah,
Like you see a team lose, and you're just like, why'd you do that?
yeah,
Like it is what it is. So the last set of questions we have here, I like to consider these kind of like random questions. They're not
yeah.
necessarily like specific to you as a player. They're more so just kind of like general ideas that I thought would be kind of interesting to ask professional players and see their opinions on it versus, say maybe like my take. And the first one that I have is what would be your like ideal Call of Duty League style, barring that there's no financial issues, like you don't have to worry about the money or anything like that. Um, and I mean more so of like whether it be like tournament play or league play or anything like that.
Oh,
How
okay,
how would
okay.
you want
I
it to
see.
be set up?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, like I always think like I started watching World War II before that like time. So like the Land League was always like my favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like teams would fly out, play from the Columbus studios for I was like 3 weeks, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks, and have that. I feel like that was always more fun. I remember what the Optic Rise match when Optic beat Rise for the first time when they made that when they picked the like methods and
Mm-hmm.
like they got super hyped and it's like if that's online, I mean, they're not gonna get hyped. They're like, oh cool, we won. Like we beat it, we beat Rise, they're a great team, but they're not gonna
Yeah.
fucking do what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, like, just seeing shit like that where it's like obviously it's just a league match, but it's still land, so everyone's just super into it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's the most fair. No, there's no bullshit tweets. You don't see teams complaining about
Mm-hmm.
servers and stuff like that. I always thought that was the best. Like I feel like every team would be down for it. Like, or I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm speaking out of my ass. I could be, but I don't know. I think that was always the best. Was just watching
Yeah.
that. Even as a viewer, even as a player, I would want that. And obviously like 5 events. That's pretty simple. I feel like
Yeah.
you know it's always
I
the best.
I feel like if you guys did, instead of like playing in Columbus and maybe you guys did it in like Texas, since that's for
100%.
one
I
more
I was just saying
centralized.
Columbus as an example of what they've
Yeah,
done
no,
before,
no.
but
Yeah.
I do agree Dallas would probably be the best. I feel like. I mean,
I
like
feel like most
we
people are
saw the
already
Optic event.
there.
That shit was
Like,
insane. Like
yeah.
amount of fans there was just insane. And that was a great event. So
Because the other thing that I would think, or like again as a fan that I would want to see is like again the land league, like you said, I think that would be good. But then instead of having the teams play like side by side like they did at the land league, play facing each other like you
oh
guys
yeah.
did
Mhm.
at champs.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
I just think like that it gives more of like that passion pit vibes, and
Mhm.
I don't know obviously how it feels as a player, but would you say like when you're kind of set up like that, it feels more like that?
100%. I mean,
Because
like, obviously, like I talked shit at champs when we beat Toronto, even when we went up 2 against Optic, and obviously they talked shit to us after they
yeah.
trying to beat us some losers, and then obviously we got reverse swept. But like talking shit, and then like when people talk shit to you, like you actually like feel it,
Yeah.
right? Cause like I stand up after we win, or even when we lose, like I'll stand up, take my headset off, and I just see them talking shit to me. I'm not fucking turning my neck, seeing, oh
Yeah.
shit, now they're talking shit. I'm not, because
Yeah.
obviously I'm not taking my headset off, looking this way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's like I literally have to look at them. So
Yeah.
it was always like I always thought it was better. You know, I feel more emotion as a player when I lose
Mhm.
or win, just because I'm looking at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just I always thought that was better. I've literally been talking about having an event like that because I watch a lot of Rocket League, right?
Mm.
So they always have events like that where it's like the
Mhm.
bowl stage in the middle,
Yep.
and it just always looks insane. Like the fans, I mean, when we beat Toronto and I took the headset off, and I just heard like the crowd screaming LAT, like that shit was insane. Like
Oh,
just
I
hearing it all
bet.
around me. I mean, I thought that was the best event. Obviously, I haven't been to many, but that was the best event I've been to by far. Not even close.
I'm sure that dope rush was
Oh yeah,
insane.
that was
Taking that
insane.
headset off,
Yeah,
especially. I mean,
'cause we beat Toronto, who are obviously a great team,
yeah.
and them just hearing the crowd just go insane for us was just the best shit.
I mean,
Honestly, that comeback was also insane.
so similar to the ultra like series or on page with that ultra series. Um, what was that moment like when you guys won the control?
Oh, when Dan 1v2, bro, I
Yeah.
didn't. No, this is funny. So I had, so I was shooting it. So I was like laying down in the back, right, like shooting his cross,
Uh huh.
and I killed the guy their side, but I didn't know. I thought I killed the guy our side because that's because I shot the guy their side, but then I tried snapping on the guy our side.
Uh huh.
I thought I killed the guy our side, and then I died, right?
Okay.
Did I think back rugs or whatever. And I was like, oh, there's one their side, one our side. And then Dan Chow's and my screen, because you know, like sometimes you die and you can't, like you're not in the player's like
Yeah.
perspective. You just have a death cam.
Yeah.
That was what I had, but I couldn't see anything.
Okay.
And I just see, I heard nothing. I heard nothing. I just hear Dan go, no, they're both our side. I'm like, oh no, we lost, damn. And I see victory, and I'm like, what? And Kyle's like getting up, like Kyle's like hyped. I'm like, nice, Dan, let's go, bro, you're flying. And then you see the picture of me like doing like this, like
Uh
that,
huh.
because that's when I saw the kick. I was like, oh, what the fuck? You slammed them? What the fuck?
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't see what happened. Because even Dan reacted late.
I
Because he didn't
know.
like. Because even Dan didn't realize what he actually did. Because like I watched it kick him, I saw him snap. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, damn, you
Dude,
slammed him, bro. What the fuck?
that moment was
That was insane.
insane. Like I
That was
was
insane.
my heart was racing. I mean, my heart always races when I'm watching you guys play, but like in that moment I was like, "Oh shit. Oh shit." And then that happened and
Yeah.
like I had gone back to and I watched like that that moment on the flank like broadcast and on
Yeah.
the Scump podcast or the Scump
I did too, to
watch
be fair.
party. That shit was crazy, bro. Everybody was going nuts. I mean,
Oh yeah. I mean,
that was
deservedly, obviously.
that was such an insane moment.
Yeah.
But I do want to give you credit because you had a great play in I believe it was the first round where you just kind of stopped the time and you stayed on the
Oh yeah,
point,
against Zill. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dude.
I mean, bro, I've seen so many people do that when I was, because like we died, and it took me a second to realize like none of my teams were, because I had to look at my map. So I did
Uh
that
huh.
initially, looked at my map, I was like, oh shit, no one's here. Like as I'm going to the point, like, oh fuck, like there's like no time. Like if I die, we're probably chalked.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, fuck it. So I jumped on the bench and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna make him push me. If I
Uh
die,
huh.
like yeah, I think one of my teams can trade me. And I just heard him run. I heard he's just stomping. I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? I just pre-fired him. I was like,
Dude, that was a situation where I feel like it showed kind of like, and I could be wrong, but I feel like it showed some of the development that not only you have had, but the team has had
100%.
throughout the year. Because I feel like earlier in the year that
Oh,
might have
I
been
would
a
just chow.
situation where you just chow.
100%.
Like,
Like that was a moment where I realized like, holy fuck, like I felt like before even like major two, major three, um, that like I would get not nervous, but just super like gritty or not or sorry, like I
like
just get super
antsy.
jumpy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, antsy. Yeah, that's the word. I don't know why I said gritty. Yeah, but I just get like super jumpy and like antsy where I just like want to go, go, go.
Yeah.
And once I did that play, like it like clicked in my head, like oh okay, like I'm actually like mentally like I'm like locked. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like it just felt like
Yeah.
good because I knew like once I did that, like I mean I didn't after that. I mean I just never I that whole event I don't think I was ever nervous once. Like
Yeah.
I didn't feel any pressure no matter what. Even when we were down or we were up to a wet map 5, like I really didn't feel pressure. Like obviously it sucked we lost, but like I don't know, there was just like no like nerves in me
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah. I
Even
mean,
even though it's like just weird because it was just so normal like 1v1 kill, but it just like I don't know, it just like again, like I said, it just affirmed to me that I was doing everything right and I knew what I was doing.
Well, I feel like it was such a big moment that, maybe doesn't get that kind of credit, like
Yeah,
I feel like it was something that was kind of looked past.
yeah,
But I mean, like I said, even just me watching it, like I realized how big of a play it was in the moment, because it was like you said, you knew you had no backup, but you needed to stop the time, and it forced. You said it was Envoy
yeah.
to
I think
make a
so.
play, like it just, and then you guys end up winning the round, so it's like
Yeah, that was an
it
offensive round too, so it was
yeah
like big. Like you don't get many of those.
yeah, everything just like worked out the exact way it needed to, and it was just such a big moment. I thought it was really funny because watching the Scump watch party, like Methods in the moment was like critiquing you, like saying, why is he not just challenging? And then like you made the play, and then he was like, well, okay, actually that was actually a
Well,
really
yeah,
smart
because like
play.
hindsight, I remember I went back and watched it. Like, oh, like what the fuck was Bill doing? Like, I was actually curious to see like if I would have shouted, would I have died?
Uh-huh.
And he was just laying down praying me. Like, if I shouted, I'm dead. Like,
Yeah.
obviously it's hindsight, but like, you know what I'm saying, like, I mean, that's just. I feel like the play I made is just a guarantee.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I make a run at me, even if I die or make him weak, like my teammate has a chance to trade him, shoot him while he's in the open, try to kill me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh-huh.
just like I don't know. I feel like the play I made was perfect, obviously, but
Yeah, 100%. Going back to these other questions, because I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but um again, we've talked about multiple Call of Duties. What was one that you didn't get to compete in that maybe you wish
Cold War.
you could
I
have?
already know the answer. I already know the answer. Cold War. I always talk about it.
Cold War,
I felt
really?
like Cold War was a game that if I competed, I would have been fucking insane in. Like,
Really? That's
bro, like example, like Abizi, I always trip. I'm saying I was better than him at that game.
dude.
I always
That
do.
I
I
mean,
mean, I feel like I was so good at that game. I mean, just like, like talent wise, just because of how the 74U was, like that was one of my favorite guns I've ever used. I feel like it was just
that
such a do it all
was
gun. Like,
yeah, it
I
really
just,
was.
I don't know.
That was a fun gun to use. I can't lie.
Mhm.
I mean, I obviously I'm not at the same skill level, but like when I would play ranked and stuff like that, um, that gun was just fun to play. Like it
Yeah.
was, you could shoot people across map, um, you could kill people up close. Like you said, it was a do it all gun. Um, but that I don't know why, but I feel like Cold War just is kind of like an interesting answer to me. Um, you know, because like for me, obviously, I've never competed at a pro level, but I
Hmm.
feel like my favorite game to play, and the game that I felt like I was best at, was probably Black Ops 4.
Yeah, well, that
Um,
was my other answer too.
that
It was
one
like, bro,
was
because I love these the Maddox and just stimming,
yes,
rechalling. Like,
yep.
bro, that game was so fun.
The cracked aim, like everything about it was just
My thing
insane.
with that game though was I was just so young that I feel like I wasn't nearly as good as I was when, like, if I was 16 in Black Ops 4, I would probably answer that because I feel like at that point, like, I played a decent enough where obviously like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like
Yeah,
I also do like a little more than I'm 14. I'm just running around. I don't know what spawns were,
yeah.
just flipping everyone. I don't give a fuck.
Well, since since you didn't like officially compete in Cold War, uh, I typically ask as a follow up question to that: would you have wanted to play the pros that are pros now in Cold War, or play the pros that were pros in Cold War during Cold War?
I mean, I feel like either would be fun as
It
fuck. Like,
it's
cause now
pretty
I feel like we
similar
have,
since
I
it's
feel
a
like now we have more talent. Like, I think by far. I mean, we've had so many, even like what Paco competed in Cold War, but he was nowhere near the player he is now.
mm-hmm.
Obviously you had all phase, and they're just insane roster. I don't know. I feel like both would be like good answers.
Yeah,
Cause like if I were to do pros then, there's just phase. Like that's like, it was just insane. But
yeah.
now I feel like all the teams, like a lot of the teams are just so stacked that it'd be. I feel like a lot of teams would be disgusting.
I feel like it would be pretty similar either way too, because I mean it's such a short like time difference,
Yeah. Mhm.
Obviously, like with if you would have picked like an older game, like Ghosty had picked AW.
Mhm.
Obviously at that time there were completely different
Oh,
pros,
completely
like
different. Yeah, yeah.
uh, a whole different competitive scene at that point. So that was kind of why I like to ask that question. But uh, I mean, it would be kind of interesting though to see maybe how FaZe would differ, because I mean that team was godlike on Cold War,
Yeah.
and now having
Draws.
Draza instead of Arcides, I feel like that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Cold War. I mean, Cold War was a fun game to play, so I don't think it's a bad answer by any means. But that it intrigues me though. You saying that you believe you were better than Abizi in Cold War. I wish I would
Yeah.
have
I just like
kind of
telling
seen
him
all
about it.
that.
I still think it's true. I don't give a fuck.
Hey, I
Okay.
respect it. I respect it. Um, so if you could take any mechanics from any Call of Duty game and like mesh them together into one game, what what mechanics would you want to implement? And by mechanics, it's kind of like,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
jetpack.
mix,
That. See, my answer
yeah,
for that. Oh, I always like the AW like dash.
the dash. Okay.
Yeah, like the like side to side dash. Like
Uh huh.
even up. Like I don't know. I feel like that was always like my favorite. I just feel like I had more fun.
Hmm.
I think that's my answer. Like
Just
I
the
feel like it was so
dash,
fun. Yeah.
nothing
I mean,
else.
I just thought it was fun. I don't know. Always
Yeah.
loved it.
I see. I said it before, but AW I never really played. I never
That's fair.
got into it that much. I think with like, because it was what it was after Ghosts, right? And I didn't
Mhm.
play much of Ghosts, and
But
then
that game was not fun. I mean, I know a lot of people who competed in it liked it, but bro, fucking hell, pubs were boring in that game.
Nate Shot's favorite game, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he loved the MTAR like suppressor, so like I got tip it, but I could not play that game. The game was just like that was one of like there's a couple cards where I just didn't play that much. Ghost was one of
Hmm.
them. IW was one of them, and
Hmm.
then MW19 was one of them.
Yeah.
Like the three cards I didn't really play that much. That I was just so bored.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just like I don't know. Like I played more Warzone than MW19, for example.
Yeah. For me, it was because my first Call of Duty I played was Black Ops 2. So I played that a lot, but I was a Christmas noob. So I came halfway through and, was kind of learning the game towards the later half of like the game's life cycle, I feel like. And then when Ghost came out, I played it like a little bit of it when it first came out, and then I realized I don't really like this game. Didn't play it basically for the rest of the year. Played very little Advanced Warfare. I loved Black Ops 3 though. Black Ops 3 was so
Yeah.
much
Oh, I
fun.
love Black Ops 3, bro. I
And
played
then
Black Ops 3 so much. I played AW a good amount. And then I don't know. IW just like I don't know. I never really liked it that much. I feel like I would have liked it if I actually gave it a chance. But like I
yeah,
didn't really.
yeah.
I don't know.
For me, Black Ops 3 was the first game where I got introduced to like competitive Call of Duty. Um, like I talked to my girlfriend about it the other day that the Cloud9 Optic Champs match,
Oh
that
yeah,
that final round is
that
like
was insane.
ingrained in my head. Like that is a core memory for me watching that happen. And ever since I've been a fan of competitive Call of Duty. Less so during kind of like some of the games I didn't like, but I've still always enjoyed watching it. And then once 100 Thieves became a thing, like that's everything just kind of kept following down that path. Um, but yeah, we're down here to the last question, and pretty. I feel like it's a pretty generic one. If you could go pro in any other esport, which would it be and why?
See, that's hard because like I love watching. I love watching esports as a whole, right? So I watch like a lot of Rocket League,
Mm-hmm.
CS, Valorant. Like even recently, I've been trying to watch like a little bit of League.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I feel like my answer would be probably like either CS or Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
Probably CS because I feel like being good in CS would be the most satisfying thing ever. Like imagine being like Monacy, like that'd be insane.
I see. I've never really watched like a ton of CS. I feel like
Yeah,
I got into Valorant faster
that's fair.
than anything. Like I had tried to play CS maybe like once or twice, and I just was horrible at it, and so I just never really gave it a chance.
Yeah,
And then when Valorant came out, it was kind of like the new thing that a lot of people were trying, and I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Like let me give
yeah,
this a go. So then I just kind of skipped CS and went straight into Valorant.
yeah.
Um, and I've
Well,
never
like
really gone into CS since.
yeah, the biggest reason I got into CS actually was because I opened cases and
Okay,
I
yeah.
pulled a very expensive knife. Um, and so because I watched Zach do it actually, I watched Zach do it. I remember texting him about it. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna open case." He's like, "Don't do it. It's a waste of your It's a waste of your money." And he's not wrong. It is.
Yeah.
But then I pulled a very expensive knife. Like I pulled like it's called like it's like an emerald butterfly knife that goes for like I don't know, like 15K or
Damn,
something like
dude.
that. Like I don't remember.
That's insane.
And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Because I had my friends watching me open it because I didn't know what the fuck I was opening. Like
Yeah.
I saw it and I was just like, "Oh, cool." And my friends were like, "You know what we just pulled?" I'm like, "Knife. Like let's go. I got like 2K for it. It's fucking sick." Fucking no, bro. It's like
Yeah.
well, I think at the time it was like 20K. I don't
That's
know how much it is now. I haven't
insane,
really looked
man.
into it, but yeah. And then after that, all my friends like that's when I was talking to 100T or LAT and like Cap and them were playing CS and I wanted
Uh-huh.
to play CS. And I played CS with Tyler like Abizi a lot.
Uh-huh.
And we went into playing with them. And so yeah, I mean, I just that's the reason I really started grinding CS because of that.
Yeah. So you said CS would be your number one, maybe like Rocket
Yeah,
League
I
number
think
two?
so. Rocket League would be like close. My thing with Rocket League though is that I don't know. I think they're just so like their esports is so up and down with like how the events are ran and their format is ran.
Mm-hmm.
And with CS, there's just so many events that are just godlike. So
Yeah. I,
that's the reason I pick CS.
I feel like for me the biggest downside with Rocket League would just be like I feel like there hasn't been much new stuff introduced to
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, I thought you
Like
get bored of it fast. I mean, that's what a lot of pros. That's what happens to a lot of pros. They get bored of it so fast.
A few moments later.
I think you're still muted.
I am. Okay, yeah, we're good. We're back, bro.
I'm dead.
Dude, no, because like I actually tell you a story. I mean, you can keep recording. I don't care. So, because I take caffeine, right, and I have to use the bathroom a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny story. So we were playing an invasion control once, right?
Uh-huh.
We win the round, and I think it goes like 2-2 or 2-1. And I thought we had won, and I had to use the bathroom so bad. So I got up and ran to the bathroom, and then I thought it was over because I thought it was over, right? So then
Uh-huh.
I'm like walking back, and Brandon like comes out. He's like, "Yo, the map's not over." I'm like, I thought he was trolling. I was like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, I'm being serious." I'm like, "What?" I go to the room and Shane's on my setup, and I'm like, "What the fuck, yo? That's insane.
What?
What the fuck?" That shit, dude. Holy fuck.
Was it like a league
Um,
match or like a scrim?
no. It was a scrim. No, it was a scrim. I would
Okay.
never do that in a league match.
Oh, I was gonna
Hell
say
no.
like that's crazy.
Nah. Nah, but in league matches sometimes I do have to use the bathroom, but I have to play it out because I can't like leave.
Yeah.
Like I remember even on land, against Toronto in losers, I had to use the bathroom like during map 2, and they wouldn't let me go. I was like, "Fuck!" So I had to play it out.
That's
Yeah,
tough.
thankfully it was a fast one.
You got to get one of
Um,
those things that like the race car drivers use where you can just pee into it
um,
while you're playing.
yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, bro. That I would fucking I wish,
That would be a game changer for you, huh?
bro. Holy fuck. Anyways, we're back now. We're good.
Um so but yeah, back to Rocket League. Like I feel
Yeah, Rocket League.
like it's such a great game, and I feel like the reason it does so well is because like viewership wise it's really easy to understand,
Oh, 100%.
but
Yeah,
because it doesn't like change, that's what's kind of like disappointing about
yeah.
it. And
Because
I feel like with say like Call of Duty, or I mean I guess CS:GO probably is a better example because it basically is the same game. I feel like the difference with something like that is like the situations can be played out so differently,
yeah,
like
100%.
throughout each and every game. And so I feel like that's where it's maybe a little easier for like pros to play for a long time on a game like that rather than like Rocket League.
Yeah, no, 100%. Rocket League, like I said, like I know a lot of pros who just quit at early because like you can start competing in the game like 15 now. Like I think the age is now 15, 14.
Yeah, it's
I think
pretty
it's
young.
14. It might be 13. I don't know because I know they just changed it.
It's pretty
But
young.
like you can play that game when you're super young. But like because I know a couple Rocket League pros and bro, like if you're like 19, 20, you're like old in that game, which is
Yeah.
insane. Because I'm 19, I'm looked at as like a young ass player,
Yeah.
which I am obviously. But
Yeah.
like and like I said, you can get bored of that game so fast. Like people quit like early, bro, because of just how stale the game is. And I even know like, bro, a bunch of Rocket League people just complain about how there's not like anything new to the game. Like you said, like games like CS, it's like, oh, there's a new map, or like you said, situations play completely different, teams play completely different. Like
Mhm.
just so much different shit you can do, lineups, stuff like that
Yep.
with the game. But like Rocket League, it's just more of like it's so fun to watch, but I know as a competitor, I would get bored. like
Yeah.
super fast. Because even now, like I'll play in the off season, I'll get bored of it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll stop playing for a bit and I'll go back and have fun again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't do that when you're competing. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to play every day to be the best you could be.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, as a viewer though, watching Rocket League is so fun. Like I love Rocket League. I love watching it. Um, I mean, yeah, it's just such a like you said, so easy to watch. Like I mean, it's so easy to understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like you might not understand like the mechanics that are used,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean,
You'll see it looks cool. Like,
yeah, and like the premise of the game is 3-on-3 car soccer. Like that's
yeah,
basically what it
yeah,
is. And so
exactly. They're just flying cars and shit. Like, what the fuck going on?
yeah, like
Insane.
I feel like it's really not that hard as a new viewer to like digest. And then on top of that, like I feel like say the difference with like that versus Call of Duty is I feel like Rocket League can be kind of broadcasted on a wider spectrum because it's it's basically just a sports game, whereas like with
Yeah,
Call of Duty it's a war game, like it's
yeah, 100%.
killing and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
And I
hard to
think
be
that's why, like,
broadcasted in certain situations.
I think that's why it has such like a like you said, like international like viewership, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
they have like the MENA region, they have Europe, they have NA, they have South America. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, those are all like countries that like love soccer as a sport, and you just put cards in it and they fucking go. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, it's just so easy to follow, and it's just so like exciting to watch. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, you like when I watch Worlds, when I watch like other events in Rock League and some crazy shit happens, last second goal, overtime, like
Mm-hmm.
you're excited because you're like, oh, what the fuck's gonna happen? Like you never know, and you see some crazy ass goal, and it's insane.
Yeah, I personally haven't watched Rocket League for a while just because like I kind of stopped playing it, and so I just stopped paying attention to a lot
Yeah,
of competitive. But if 100 Thieves came up with a Rocket League team, I would go right
trust me,
back to watching Rocket League.
I
I
want to
would
make
have
money for the Rock League thing personally.
I would have no problem watching Rocket League, dude.
Yeah,
I think it's a great game to watch. It's just I lost interest in the game and I didn't have like a specific team to root for,
yeah,
so
100%.
it was just kind of like whatever.
I mean, see, that's the thing. I think that's what makes it easier for me is I know people in the scene, so I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like I want these people to win, whatever.
Yeah, because for me, I used to watch like Rizzo, and Rizzo
Yeah,
was kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
the guy that I liked the most, and so I would watch like if G2 played and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
then you know once he retired, it was kind of like okay, well now I don't,
Now you don't care for anyone else, so what's the point?
yeah, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
So just kind of moved on at that point. But who knows? Maybe the Thieves down the line will get a Rocket League team if it's
I want
worth
to
it.
complain.
I mean, I know Nicewig was trying to push for an Apex team too, so I don't know how how
I mean, to be
stretched
fair, that'd
out.
be cool. I mean, that EWC shit was insane. Did you watch that
It,
event? That was insane.
I started watching it late actually because of Dan's tweets. Like I didn't even know it was happening, and then I saw some of his tweets, and I was like, maybe I
You're
should
like,
check
what?
this out.
Yeah,
So I
yeah, yeah.
went and at first I started watching Scump stream, and then I was like, you know what? Let's watch like Nicewig because I don't typically
Yeah.
watch his stuff, and like he's the Apex guy, so like I'll watch
Great
his
guy.
stuff.
Fantastic
So
guy.
I went and I started watching, and it was like they were already on, I don't know, game like 10 or 11 at that point, and uh they were talking about how many teams were already set to be on match point or
Mhm.
whatever. And then they get to game 12 and then game 13. And I was
Yeah,
like, what the
right,
heck? Like,
dude.
this is crazy.
Nah, because we were scrimming right beforehand. We were watching it, like we were watching it before scrims, and then we
Uh-huh.
started scrimming, and in between maps we'd look like, what the fuck is going to another game? What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
It just kept sucking though, because our maps kept ending as soon as the game, like their games kept
Their
ending.
game would end.
So we would finish a map, we'd look, game's over, like fuck, and the same shit happened, and then the game finally ended. We finished our map, someone won, Alliance won, and I was like, fuck, like we didn't get to watch any of it.
I
But like we
know.
watched beforehand, so like we knew what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
But, like we saw like LG go back to back or some shit like that, and it was just like, what
Dude,
the
I
insane.
wanted so bad to have whatever team it was that was left that hadn't been on match point in that last game.
Oh,
I
I can't
wanted them
remember.
to
I know
win
you're
so
talking about, yeah.
bad.
Bro, that'd been fucking insane. Imagine
That
every team on match point. That actually would have been insane.
that would have been wild. I mean, even
Yeah.
just the thing that happened with Twisted Minds was crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was so funny because Nicewing was like, "Oh, there's no way Minds wins this with one player up or whatever," and then
And then you won it.
he retrieves both his teammates. They come back
Yeah,
and then they
he
end
would've
up
won it.
winning. I
Yeah.
was like, "That's insane, man!"
Bro,
Like,
that was one of the most insane esports event as a whole I've ever watched.
yeah. I mean,
Sick.
obviously that we got to our last question, but with the mentioning of EWC, how would you say you're prepared, going into that, whether it just be you personally or like as the team.
I mean, I think we look better than we were at champs by miles right now. I mean, not to put like, what's the word, like expectations, but like I am very excited for the event. I think, like I said, that we've looked very well in scrims and practice, but yeah, I mean, I'm just excited, bro.
Yeah.
All at the end of the day, it all comes down to how the event goes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Do
super
you
excited.
think now though, with like kind of how champs played out, that as you said earlier, like maybe there will be a little less nerves going into it, knowing that like you're more than capable of
Yeah,
competing against every
100%,
team.
a million percent. I feel like, especially for myself, like I remember at the start of the year, like it felt impossible playing top four teams.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that's just because our team wasn't good,
Mm-hmm.
but also just like myself, like as a player, just felt like I didn't really perform well against them,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even like statistically I still don't, but like just as myself, like I feel like way more confident. Like it, like now it just feels like every team just like a regular team when
Mm-hmm.
we play, and I guess I just feel so much more confident as a player, like knowing what I can do, and I don't know. Like I said, I just feel like after champs, like obviously we didn't perform to what I think we could have,
Mm-hmm.
but still, just like I have so much confidence in us as a team, like to beat whoever we need to beat to win.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you guys were one map away from beating Optic. You guys were 2 rounds away from, moving on and beating Ultra for the second time.
Hmm.
Like, to me, that shows that, you guys are able to compete with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
so, as a fan, I definitely have a lot of confidence like going into EWC. Obviously, I don't try to look at it as like, putting pressure on you guys to perform in a certain way or at a
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
standard, but um, it just I feel like there's a lot more confidence knowing that it's more than doable. Like I feel like going into champs, a lot of fans kind of had doubts on based on how the year had been going before that it was like, well, we'll see how champs goes, and then you guys pull out a top four finish, and play every team really well. Like even when
Yeah.
you lost, you played every team really well. So, um, I think that has ingrained a lot of confidence into a lot of the fans now as well. And
Yeah.
I'm sure, I'm not the only one that's really excited for EWC. So, it should be a lot of fun. I know it's going to be a long flight for you guys.
Oh yeah. It's like
Uh,
16. It's like 16 and a half hours, some shit like that.
yeah,
Insane.
that's a long one, man. It won't be fun, but I mean, once you're there, hopefully everything will kind of
Once we're there, it's gonna be insane. But
yeah.
just getting there.
Hopefully you guys can loosen up. You guys get a pool play to start off,
That's true.
which I feel like is nice. Should be a good benefit to this tournament compared to all the CDL ones. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see how that goes. Uh, but yeah, with all those questions being done, that's gonna do it from me. Uh, is there anything else you want to say to the fans or anything you want to shout out?
I mean, really, I just want to say thank you. I mean, I feel like hearing you guys at champs and meeting you guys all the time at the block party, at events, I feel like you guys are literally everything. Like genuinely, like I feel like you guys just every time I talk to you guys, you guys are just the best people possible. Like, I just want to say thank you. Like I said, like no one would be here if it wasn't for you guys. You guys are what make the league. Like, yeah, shout out you guys. Seriously.
Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, of our Thieves Talk interviews. Huge shout out to Joe for coming on today and doing
Thank
this
you.
interview with us. Really appreciate you being here. That was awesome. I will have all of Joe's socials linked down below, so be sure to go check those out if you are not following him already. And if you guys want more content like this, I have done other episodes with Kremp and Ghosty. I will have those as well. But yeah, that's going to do it. If you enjoyed, please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.